Everybody, this is Tracy here with another edition of A View from Tracy's Point, and today we are here with a news story, a Florida man story. You know, you guys give my state a hard rap when it comes to the things that take place over here, and a lot of times it is warranted because it just be some crazy going on around here. So this story is about Sidney Holmes, who's currently 57 years old. But he was arrested back in April of 1989 for a robbery in which he was accused of being the getaway driver. But according to Mr. Holmes, he was not the getaway driver. And so his case was reviewed, and after 30 years, he has been set free. Okay. So this article is coming from Yahoo News, and it says that a man who served more than 3 decades of a 400-year prison sentence for armed robbery charges was freed Monday after being exonerated. Sidney Holmes, 57, was convicted in April of 1989 for a 1988 robbery in which he was accused of being the getaway driver. Holmes was greeted by his family as he walked free Monday and said the first thing he wanted to do was get something to eat. And he went on to say, we have one rule, and this is the prosecutors. We have one rule here at the Broward State Attorney's Office, and that's do the right thing. Our only agenda is to promote public safety in our community and to ensure that justice is served, Broward State Attorney Harold F. Friar said in a statement. I commend the victims, witnesses, and law enforcement officers for their candor and assistance in reinvestigating a crime that occurred more than 34 years ago. Holmes had been convicted of acting as the getaway driver for 2 men who robbed 2 people at gunpoint and stole one of the victims' car just west of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, on June 19, 1998. According to the state attorney's office, the 2 robbers remain unidentified. So they didn't even catch the people that actually did the robbery. So Holmes contacted the state attorney's conviction review unit in 2020 and told investigators he was innocent. The Cruz, which is the acronym for Conviction Review Unit, then determined that Holmes has a plausible clause of innocence. During Cruz's review of Holmes' case, it determined eyewitness identification of Holmes during the initial investigation was likely incorrect, and that there was no evidence connecting Holmes to the robbery outside of the flawed identification. An investigation launched by the brother of one of the victims also found that Holmes' car was likely misidentified at the time, and that key differences between his Oldsmobile and the one used by the robbers were overlooked. See how easy it is to convict a black man? Now, they don't even have the car. The person whose car was stolen, they don't even have that car, but said because his car looked like that car, then that was cause for them to arrest him and charge him with this and sentence him to 400 years. And I don't recall seeing where it said anybody died. So 400 years? Like, are you kidding me? So based on the review, 5 of 6 independent panelists voted that Holmes was innocent and his conviction should be thrown out immediately. The victim in this case both said they thought Holmes should be released. Deputies involved in the original investigation were also shocked. Holmes served 34 years in prison and had been sentenced to 400 years. The nonprofit OIC of South Florida is set to help Holmes with reintegration services along with job training and placement. Now, y'all know this don't make no sense, but more and more people are being released from prison due to false identification and all other stuff. And it's a shame that it takes, 30 years of their life for this to be overturned. And when I'm on Yahoo, I like to go down into the comments to read the ignorance that's there. So let's read a couple of these comments. So someone named Red said, I fail to understand how or why it took 34 years to get to this point. Even assuming him to be guilty of the alleged crime, there is no justification for the 400-year sentence. Where was the public defender? An appeal should have been filed 34 years ago. The judge that imposed this sentence, if he or she is still alive, ought to be sentenced to prison for the rest of their life. And then somebody replied, simply a kangaroo court. And finally, he got an attorney and is being out. He should get plenty of restitution and everything else he deserves from time he served until now. And then James said, this is yet another example of arrest the perpetrator, try the case, convict, and throw away the key. There are murderers who serve far less time than this guy did. That should disgust everyone reading this article. And I agree. Okay, so someone named Micro Laser wrote, so he served a sentence that didn't suit his charges. On top of that, they couldn't even confirm his charges. And now they say he may have sat behind bars for over 3 decades without having done his charges. If they fail to prove his charge, they should compensate that man dozens of millions of dollars. Formal repentance. Let's see. Then James said, it really is about time that police and courts stop relying on eyewitness data. It has been shown for years now that eyewitness identification is completely unreliable. Since there was no other corroborating evidence, this was a clear travesty of justice. I hope Holmes sue everyone living or their estates for what has been done to him. So it seems like for the most part, people are agreeing that he should have been released. So anyway, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Like 400 years for allegedly being the getaway driver in a stick-up. 400 years. Like, let that sit in. And I was talking to my daughter recently. We were talking about her babysitter when she was an infant. And I was recalling a story about a neighbor of the babysitter who I guess was like a standout football player in college in his dorm room one day, minding his own business, when one of the people, a college student, came in and said, hey, can you give me a ride to the post office? So he gives the guy a ride to the post office. He's sitting in the car waiting for the guy to come out. The guy comes out, jumps in the car. They get stopped. Turns out that the guy who he gave the ride to the post office had went in there and robbed the post office. And they arrested this boy for being an accomplice and sentenced him to 25 years in prison when he was minding his own business and somebody asked him for a ride. He had no knowledge of the robbery. He didn't go inside and participate with the robbery. And I often wonder, and I can't remember his name, and the babysitter is deceased, but I just always think about him every now and then, wondering, was his family able to finally get this case overturned and get him out of prison? And then I'm thinking, but the 25 years is probably over now because my daughter will be 30 in a couple of weeks. But yeah, too many people sitting in prison for crimes that they did not commit, or if they did commit the crime, the sentencing that they are giving people is just utterly ridiculous. But that's it for me, guys. Just want to bring you all this quick story to let you know that it's never too late. Never give up hope, because as Glorilla say, there's always tomorrow, and you just don't know. The gates to the prison doors may open at any moment. So go ahead, leave your comments below, rate the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And until the next time, I shall talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.